Hello, my name is Xbox Ahoy, except it's not because that's not the sort of name a person has. Anyway, it's time for the bonus. In the background this week, I will be playing some Resogun, although I haven't recorded it yet, so I don't know what it's going to look like. Anyway, the gameplay's not important. What is important are the questions. Roger Toledo asks, you said you have a Wii U, so what games are you playing on it? Not many, if I'm honest, although I did buy Zombie U last week, because it was only like £5 or £6, and I thought, well, that's a bargain, and I wouldn't mind playing it even though it's not the greatest of games. There's a few I'd like to pick up. The Wonderful 101 looks alright. Super Mario 3D World, of course, I think it's the best rated game for the system, and I'm kind of curious about Monster Hunter. But these are games I'll probably buy when they're a little bit cheaper and when I've got time to play them. Cloud9011 says, hey Stu, have you ever heard of the game No More Heroes? In my opinion, it would make a great game for your Gore series. I have heard of it, but you will notice it didn't make an appearance in the Gore video, and that's because in Europe and Japan, the game was heavily censored. So with the complete absence of blood, the footage I had wasn't perhaps the best example of a gory game. I could have perhaps gone into detail about censorship, but I don't know, I just didn't find a space for it in the script, so I had to cut it. I have to be brutal. I mean, I try to be as laconic as possible when it comes to writing these brief history scripts, and yet the result is still 16 minutes. I did see some criticisms lamenting the lack of depth in the video, and I like that sort of criticism because it does give me pause for thought, it does make me think. Maybe instead of featuring, 50 games an episode, I should focus on just a few, but I do think that wouldn't fit the remit of A Brief History of Gore. I think the title implies something which has breadth. And while the finished product wasn't, the deepest analysis of gory video games out there, it does provide quite a good structural overview of gore throughout the history of video games, which, well, would you believe it, is a pretty good match for the title. So depth can be good, but this series is designed for breadth, and that's not a bad thing. Mahalo3550 says, please finish the Ghost Weapon Guide and do the damn secondaries. It's extremely lazy of you to leave them out of your last complete Weapon Guide series. You never skipped them before, so why are you doing it now? Think of the almighty CZ75. You didn't skip that now, did you? No way in heck would you have skipped that. We know you're not going to be doing this type of series anymore, so why cut it short? Only 30 videos? May as well have not even started it if you aren't going to finish it the same way you always have. Gotta say, I'm kind of disappointed, Stu. Didn't think you were capable of doing that back in the MW2 days. Sad face. Back in the Modern Warfare 2 days, I was doing the weapon guides because I enjoyed doing them. I enjoyed playing Modern Warfare 2, and I had a whale of a time with it. Even right up until Black Ops came out, I was still enjoying Modern Warfare 2, I was still having fun with it, and I did the series based out of that enjoyment of the game. Now, when it comes to Ghosts, I enjoyed my time with Ghosts, I really did, but I knew full well that in March, Titanfall would arrive, and I knew full well that once Titanfall was here, I would have zero interest in playing Ghosts. So from the very start, I planned a 30-episode series. Pretty much as soon as the final gun list was out, several months ago now, I decided, alright, I'm going to do the primary guns with the exception of the Assault Shield or the Riot Shield, and I won't cover the knife either. That gives us a nice round 30 episodes. That's the complete series. That's what I'm going to do. It is a bit of a shame that I'm not going to cover the secondaries, but I simply can't afford to spend the time on it when there's a hot new game on the horizon that I must cover for the good of my channel. So the series was all planned months ago, and, well, I finished it, and I finished it just a couple of weeks before the Titanfall open beta goes live, so it's really well timed. So what I want to do with my channel over the next few weeks is indulge in a few of the more creative ideas that I've had over the last few months that I've not been able to do because I've been busy with Ghosts. And once I've done those, it will be time to, maybe commit myself to Titanfall for a few weeks, a few months, who knows. It depends on how much I like the game, it depends on how much I want to make videos for the game. So, for Ghosts, I've kind of drawn a line under it. 30 episodes, done. Never have to touch it again. And, well, of course, they've come out with the DLC weapons, haven't they? The two Maverick, the assault rifle and the sniper rifle variant. And while I could do them, I don't think I'll bother. I mean, the interest in Ghosts, it's there. There are certainly some people who are passionate about Ghosts, but as far as channel growth is concerned, covering Call of Duty is just a death spiral at the minute. And while I could ride the spiral all the way down into the ground, I think I'd sooner, stick to the line that I've drawn in the sand and say, that's it, I'm done. with that game. I may yet cover future titles in the series, but I'll treat it like any other game. So as for the handguns, as for the DLC weapons, probably not going to cover them. Sorry about that. It's not laziness, it's just plain old common sense. On the plus side, we do get to see some new and exciting content in the interim, and, Titanfall is a breath of fresh air compared to the COD series. So that's good, that's new life, new exciting things from my channel, that's what drives me, that's what keeps the passion alive. C on GNICX7 says, Stu, opinion on Assassin's Creed series. It's alright, isn't it? I've enjoyed the games, I liked the first one, I liked the second one. I skipped the third one, but the fourth one is kind of tempting me back in. I may very well pick up the fourth one for one of the new consoles pretty soon, but it's still like 40 quid, which is more than I want to pay for it. Speaking of pirates, actually, I'd quite like to do a brief history of piracy in video games. Taylor Rosenfeld says, I know you answered a question like this last time, but you never directly stated the answer. What do you think about self-harm? I'm not sure what sort of answer you want to a question like that. I mean, what do you want me to say? Self-harm is a good thing? No, self-harm is a bad thing. I think those who do self-harm need to be recognised as having a problem which needs help. I don't think they should be shamed. I think, should be treated like any other illness. But then this is what we talked about last week, how there's a stigma of shame about mental illness and stuff like that, and how sometimes it's brushed under the carpet. So yeah, self-harm, bad. If you do self-harm, get help. And that's all I've got to say about that. Aidan McNeil says, what do you think of Guinness, Stu? I like Guinness, and it's often my go-to pint in a pub. Now, it's not the best stout in the world, but quite often when you're in a pub or in a supermarket, it's the best stout available. So, there are better stouts out there, but at least it's not a lager. Reboy GTR says, hey Stu, what's your favourite Japanese sports car? Personally, I'm a fan of the Wankels. I like the Mazda RX-7, the RX-8. Not sure if I'd want to own one, given that they hemorrhage oil and occasionally will throw a rotor, but they're nice cars nonetheless. Matthew McMillan says, Stu, hopefully this would never happen, but if YouTube ever went wrong with copyright issues or extreme view loss of your channel, what would you want to do for a job? Well, if we're talking about one tempered by practical concerns, I'd probably look for a job somewhere in Manchester. I'd probably look for a digital media agency, maybe something in marketing, and I guess I'd produce video content. Or maybe I could find a position that was multidiscipline, where I could do graphic design, web design, and the video stuff on top. That would be my first practical consideration, but I wouldn't mind staying within the video game field. So I'd certainly be open to any opportunities, with any sort of developers as kind of an in-house video guy. Or even, I suppose, as kind of a community manager role or something like that. Answering questions on Twitter and making update videos for patch notes, stuff like that. Not the most glamorous of jobs, but I'm surprised more developers haven't really taken to YouTube as kind of a marketing platform. Maybe they need someone like me. Maybe. The CoreMaster98 says, hey Stu, what's your opinion on Minecraft? It's alright, isn't it? There was a time when I was playing it quite a lot, but I eventually realised it's just kind of a time sink, isn't it really? It's busy work. So I laid down my pickaxe and I haven't really played it much since. I will say, however, that I am planning a Minecraft video. I have an idea for a new series format and I want to try out a pilot, and Minecraft is a pretty good candidate. The trouble with new concepts is I have no idea how well it's going to work, but, well, the way I see it, it's worth a punt. Multi-Light Rider says, what do you mean? If the YouTuber is partnered and I watch his ad, I'm indirectly paying him. This relates to a comment last week in which we were discussing, why some YouTubers felt entitled that content creators should satisfy their desires, when in essence they're getting video content made for them for free. Now, of course, while I am very grateful for ad impressions, they are what constitutes my income, after all. I think on the individual level, you maybe don't want to get too high of an opinion of your own contribution. Now, I can't tell you my CPM, it's a, contractual secret, and it's not that interesting even if I did tell you, but I can tell you that a single ad impression at minimum wage is equivalent to about 0.5 seconds of work. That's how much you're paying me for. So even if you've watched every single video I've ever created, it amounts to you supporting me for maybe minutes at most. Which I will reiterate, I am grateful for. But when it comes to making a living off a YouTube income, it really doesn't pay to put too much credence in a single voice. It is kind of difficult, but you need to be like a crowd whisperer. You need to kind of anticipate where the thronging masses are headed and try and corral them. It's difficult. FG Chrono says, "Hi Stu, I'm in the process of buying a new platform for gaming and I'm not sure if I should buy an Xbox One or a PC, and I thought that since you're using both of them, you might have an opinion. Here are some facts that might help. My budget is around £1,300. The games that I'm interested in playing are Titanfall, Battlefield 4, and the new Star Wars Battlefront. With that budget, I'd go PC. Definitely PC. Now, you see, I get tarnished with the console gamer brush quite a lot, but if I were forced to choose only one gaming platform, it would be a PC. I mean, sometimes PC gaming sucks. You know, you get lazy console ports. Sometimes they don't even bother porting games from the console that you might want to play. And these are some of the reasons why I bought an Xbox 360 in addition to my PC back in the day. Because with a single platform, you do miss out on some games. The PC does have a huge variety of games available though, certainly if you're into stuff like strategy or simulation. And then of course you've got emulation, which means you can revisit some of the classics from the console era of yesteryear. So, for the games that you've listed and a single gaming platform, I'd definitely go PC. You know, PC Master Race and all that. Daniel Malunzi says, "I don't know. Titanfall is too overhyped in my opinion. It looks pretty much like Call of Duty and Brink put together. Also, there are games where it's exactly like Titanfall, only they came before it. Also that it's exclusive to Microsoft consoles and the PC. Make no mistake, Titanfall is overhyped. Yes, this is true. I'm excited for the game, but I can't deny that it's overhyped. The trouble with these new consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox One, is that there are no games for them. I mean, alright, yeah, okay, there are some games. This is true, you know, there are some, but most of these games are available on the last gen as well. So games like Call of Duty Ghosts, yeah, it looks a little bit nicer on the next gen, but not really any different, really, on a fundamental level. Titanfall is new, and while there is going to be a Xbox 360 port, it's going to be ported backwards rather than forwards. So for better or for worse, Titanfall is one of the first truly next-gen games. Or, well, current-gen, I suppose. To be honest, I think the dearth of games available for the Xbox One is probably enough to ensure that Titanfall is going to have reasonably good sales. Because, well, what else are you going to play? Oh, you're going to wait for Destiny in September? That's like 9 months away. So yeah, it's definitely overhyped. It might not be as good as some people expect it to be, but at the very least, it's something to play. I guess we'll find out how good it really is in the middle of March sometime. Sean Marek says, "Stu, have you played Outlast? And if not, can we possibly see a short Let's Play of it when it comes out for free on the PS4 in February?" I have it, yes. I bought it in the Steam sale, and I've played it a small amount on PC. I suppose I could do a Let's Play. I was thinking about doing a couple of Let's Play videos in the gap before Titanfall on this channel, but I've been kept busy thus far with my main channel projects. So we'll see how it goes. At the very least, I'll put it in the background of a bonus at some point. Rowan Sureled says, "What is your all-time favourite melee weapon in gaming?" Probably the most iconic one that springs to mind for me is Gordon Freeman's crowbar. So that's probably my top pick. As for a top 3, I don't know. Does the chainsaw from Doom count? The katana from Left 4 Dead 2, that's a pretty good one. I don't know, I'd have to think about it. Alfonso Navarro says, "What platform will you be playing Titanfall on? PC or the Xbox One?" It'll probably be the Xbox One for the majority of it, because I'm a filthy casual, for one, and I also prefer working with footage from my Blackmagic. It's a little bit easier to edit with. Also, one advantage of consoles over PCs that not many people talk about is that I get awful RSI when I play with a mouse and keyboard on a shooter for too long, whereas on a controller, it's a little bit more ergonomic, and it's a break from editing anyway. So I like to switch up my wrist activities just so I don't injure myself. That's my excuse anyway, I'm sticking to it. Tal Kornfeld says, "Hi Stu, why do you never curse or swear in your videos? It's not like I'm asking you to start slurring right and left, but I've always been curious." I guess it's just the register I've chosen for the main productions on Xbox Ahoy. I mean, you don't see people on the news swearing, you don't see people on even shows like Deadliest Warrior. They don't say stuff like, "This katana will fudge your day up." So I guess I'm emulating the register, the tone of shows like that. I mean, there's a certain amount of bombast to the tone used there, and I do kind of mirror that sometimes. But I can't say I've ever really felt the need to swear. Now, as far as this channel, I suppose I could swear on here, but for me, it's funnier not to. It also enhances the impact of milder swear words, I find. In the Modern Warfare 2 1887 video, I used the word badass, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Xbox Ahoy said badass, oh my word. This is funny to me. I also quite like the opening to my Gore video. It's a catchy cold open, and it also indulges in the duality of meaning as well. Bloody video games not only refers to games which have blood in them, but it also chastises them and says, bloody video games, with their gory scenes corrupting our youth. This sort of irony is funny to me. I enjoy doing stuff like this. Sigil Tangerina says, hey Stuart, what is your favourite animal? Well, my favourite animal would probably also have to be the sexiest animal of all, which is, of course, the human being. As I'm sure you will agree, the human being is the sexiest of all the animals, with the obvious exception of the giraffe. Totoro1998 says, hey Xbox Ahoy, what kind of state do you think the human race as a whole will be in, say, 500 years? Socio-political structure, equality, colonization of other planets, that sort of thing. Well, one thing's for certain, they'll probably look at us as being very primitive, in the same way that we look at muddy peasants of the Middle Ages. I think the most radical reforms over the next 500 years will probably be in labour. Folk will look back and think, they had people doing manual labour back then. How barbaric. They had people sitting in offices answering telephones just to repeat off scripts. How barbaric. Because these sort of jobs, of course, can be automated. You can have robots working in mines, advanced robots, I'm sure. 500 years is a long time. And I'm not saying they'll be anthropomorphic. You know, they won't be like actual human robot type things with faces, but a lot of work has already been automated, and I imagine it will continue to be the case. So what of the workforce of today? What will they be doing? We can't all be artists, we can't all be executives, so what of the people who are effectively cut out of being able to earn a living by an automated workforce? Will we simply let them starve? Will we euthanize them? Will we limit how many children people can have? I think this, alongside a rapidly growing population, are the challenges that we'll face over the next 500 years. And there will be some tough challenges. Hopefully, technology will save the day. Hopefully, technology will pave the way for a utopian society. Really, if robots are producing all of our food and all of our basic needs, then you would hope that civilization would look after the poor, look after those who are unable to find gainful employment by at least giving them everything they need to live. Civilization has tamed the savage nature of mankind, but in doing so, it owes us a debt. Retro Play says, with the recent acquisition of the Gears of War franchise by Microsoft from Epic, what do you think this may or may not bring about for the future of Gears of War? Did you play or even like any of the previous Gears titles? I was a very avid fan and repeat player until Judgment seemed to take the wind out of the series. Gears of War was one of the motivating factors that made me get an Xbox 360. The Mad World advertisements on television, you know, you see these, you think, oh, look at this game, it looks quite fancy, I want to play it. Oh, it's not on PC. Oh well, I guess I'll get an Xbox 360. And so I did. And yeah, I quite like the series, yeah. I was never a big fan of the multiplayer, but the single player stuff, and especially the cooperative stuff, I loved. I mean, yeah, it's all a little bit chest-high cover bro shooter, but it's fun once in a while, nice and visceral in a way that few games are. So, as for the future of the series, I guess there's potential there. It really comes down to the studio to actually prove themselves and to make a good game. It's true, Judgment was kind of an end-of-generation cash-in, really. But Microsoft, Black Tusk, hopefully they know they have to prove their worth, and so hopefully the first game from them should be alright. I suppose we'll see. I'm not particularly hyped for it, but it is on my radar. Same with Halo as well, I suppose. Randy Tanner says, do you think you could do a video showing us your cats? Doesn't have to be anything long. I may. I've had this plan for like a stupid cat video for a while now. It's just a question of filming them and actually making them do something interesting rather than just sitting on things and sleeping. The Real Zillium says, Mr. Brown, have you ever considered starting a merchandise store or something of that sort? Being an avid viewer, I would enjoy wearing an electric seafoam t-shirt that has your logo on it, or maybe even a line of t-shirts that list some of your favourite puns you've said. Well, I don't know about pun shirts, but I have considered merchandise. I just haven't really found a service that offers everything that I want. It is, perhaps unsurprisingly, quite difficult to find somewhere that has electric seafoam or Persian green t-shirts. It's all Kelly green. So I'm kind of at the liberty of, companies like American Apparel or Hanes as to what colours of t-shirts they actually make. The closest match I found is probably American Apparel's Teal, but it's a little bit too blue, so it would be off-brand, which is disappointing, to say the least. They do have a nice Ahoy Xbox raspberry colour, so that's not so bad. Anyway, it's something I've considered in the past, and I may yet go ahead with it in the future. But, you know, merchandising, not exactly a top priority for me. Anyway, we've hit 20 minutes, so I'll wrap it up here. I'm hoping to get another video out this weekend for Xbox Ahoy. This time around, it's a Desert Eagle special. It's a pilot for a new series concept which I call Iconic Arms, which is, I suppose, kind of a history series, but it's less about the mechanical history and more about the cultural history of a given firearm. So my target for that is Sunday, but at this time I couldn't tell you whether I'm going to hit that target or not. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.